Hi everyone, Slangel from Slangel Designs back again today, and today we're going to have a tutorial about the reversible shell stitch, it's a tongue twister, pattern, which is a very thick, because you're working double layers, right? It's a very thick blanket when you make it. You can easily make this up using baby weighted blanket yarn as well for a softer, it'll just be a little looser looking. But for today we're using two different colors of worsted weight yarn, and I have my 5.5 millimeter crochet hook for the demonstration purposes. It does in the pattern call for the 5.5 millimeter or a USI size hook. You're going to need a stitch holder or a little stitch marker, or you can use a piece of yarn, just a little piece of yarn to tie off the end. You'll see when we get to that why this is important for when you're working on your project. And a tapestry needle or a yarn needle, just so you can weave your ends in at the end. So for the sake of, I'm not going to make a large swatch. This here, I think I did like 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Now probably close to 30. The pattern is all in US terms, and the pattern is in multiples of 5 plus 3. So depending on how long you want to make, or how wide you want to make the blanket, you're going to go 5 and 5 and 5 and 5 and 5, and when you reach the end of what you want it to be, then add 3 to the end. So it's a very, it looks more complicated than it is. Once you get going and you see how it's done, it works up fairly quickly. Okay. So I'm just going to set this aside. This is just a sample swatch I had done for the instructions on the PDF pattern, which I'm going to link in the description as well, so you can download that for free. It works up fairly easily. All right. So, and the color combinations are pretty endless. And if you really wanted to, you could use 2 of the same colors and just make a nice thick afghan or blanket. All right, so we're going to start with my color A, and we'll make our slip knot onto our hook, and then we're going to chain multiples of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll do a couple more here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then add 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, in this pattern, there's nothing really complicated. The chain, the stitches, slip stitch, single and double crochet, and that's about it. One of the things you'll see is a shell stitch, which is just 5 double crochet stitches in the same place. All right, so we have our beginning chain. Okay, so we've done that. So now for our foundation row, we're going to stay with the same color. All right, we're going to do a double crochet in the 5th chain from the hook. So the loop on your hook doesn't count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to do a double crochet in that chain. Then we're going to put 3 double crochets in the next chain all together. So into here, 1, 2, and 3. Then in the next one, we're going to do a single. So sometimes it's hard to see because it gets squished. So you just want to get in there and do your 1 double crochet. Then we're going to skip the next 2 chains. So 1, 2, into the next one we're going to do a double crochet, and then 3 into the next, and you can see we're starting to do the repeat across the starting chain. And if you're not familiar with the double crochet, I'll link that in the description as well. And then in the next one we're going to do 1 double crochet. So again, you can see we're repeating a double crochet, 3 double crochet, a double crochet in the stitches. So now we're going to skip the 2, 1, 2, do a double crochet in the next one, 3 double crochet in the next, and then a double crochet in the next one. Skip our 2 stitches, double crochet, three in the next. We're going to keep working our way across here. So I've made this pattern for like a twin size bed. I've made it very large for a queen size. I'll warn you, it does take, I haven't specified how much yarn you're going to need for any kind of particular size project because it can be a lot depending on what you're going to be doing. So you have to kind of, I know you're supposed to get enough yarn for your project when you're buying it at first, but typically when I'm working on one of these, I'll buy, you know, 4 or 5 of each color, and then as I'm getting down, I'll go back to the craft store and get some more, and because it does take a lot of the yarn. All right, so we're working our way here. Oh, it gets tight in there when you got the 3 and the 1 before that. So there we go. All right, skip the 2. And there's something I'm going to show you at the end here. As we get to the end, you're going to have a stitch left, and you're supposed to, okay? I kind of panicked the first time I was doing this, and I was like, what did I do wrong? I could have swore I counted everything right. You're supposed to have you're going to have a stitch left, and that's completely normal. So this, you'll see what's going to happen with this at the end. So now, don't turn your work, okay? This is where this stitch holder comes in. You're going to take your hook out and put the stitch holder in, because the last thing you want is for your work to start unraveling. So now we're done with that. We're done with color A. We're going to be switching over to color B. So I got my yarn all crossed here. I'm going to swap out my yarn just so it doesn't get tangled. So now attach your color B to the 4th chain from the turning chain on the right side of your work, which means when we did our beginning chain, this chain here from when we did our first double crochet into the 5th chain, so this was the 4 chains that were left from our starting, we're going to put into our 4th chain, and we're going to attach our yarn and leave a tail so that you have some to weave in at the end there, okay? So now we're going to, there we go, chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you're going to single crochet in the first skipped stitch. So we had skipped 2 stitches between this double crochet and this one. In the first skipped stitch, you're going to do a single crochet. Then we're going to do this as a repeat. We're going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, go to the next skip stitch and single crochet, chain 6, single crochet into the first of the 2 skip stitches in the next part. I'm trying not to split the yarn. There we go. Chain 6 again. Sorry, you can hear the stitch marker hitting the board there. Then we're going to insert into the skip stitch. I'm trying to get my hook in to get the 2 of them, 2 loops, so it's nice and secure at the base, which is not cooperating. There we go. And I missed. And single crochet, chain 6 again. And into the next skip stitch. Chain 6. Now, this is where that stitch that we had at the end of the first row, this is where this comes into play. We need to do our single crochet into that. That's what that was left there for. Okay, so now it doesn't look like much yet, but that is the start of the reversible part. Each color from now, like when you get going, each color is worked in 2 rows. Okay, so there's going to be the chain one, then you're going to have the shell one. So now what we're going to do is turn our work, and you have to kind of be careful not to get yarn tangled. Okay, it does make a difference. So I'm constantly moving one ball of yarn to one side, moving it back to the other side. All right, so now I know it looks a little complicated here, but once you get going, so oops. Now that you've got this, the next thing to do is chain 2. You're going to look here, and in where you ended the previous group of shells, you're going to put your hook in the top and just do a slip stitch and chain 2 again, and that gets you up to this level. I kind of pull that in a little bit just so I can kind of hold it down. Now you're going to put 5 double crochets into the center stitch, but here is what is important. When you go to do your double crochet, you put your hook in this chain 6, you need to make sure that that's over your hook as well, so that when you do your yarn over and pull through, you're basically securing it to that shell stitch from before. I'll show you here in the end. So you're going to put 5 double crochets. Three, 4, and 5. So now if you flip it over, you can see that that chain 6 is anchored and secured underneath where you made your 5 double crochets. So now you're going to do the next one. You immediately yarn over, go into the next middle stitch of the shell. Make sure you also have that on your hook. Yarn over, pull through, which will anchor it, and do the 5 double crochets, each one of those attaching the chain 6 from below to the blanket pattern. Okay, see there? So now we're going to work our way and just repeat that until we get to the end. And as you get going with it and you get some rows practice into it, it becomes second nature to make sure that that chain 6 is up and tucked under your shell stitch so that it gets good and anchored. So while this might look a little complicated, it's not that bad. It's very simple stitches just combined in such a way to make a really nice pattern. Oops. But you can see too, like if you're making a full-size blanket, like I'm just making this little sample swatch here. If you're making a full-size blanket, you don't want your work becoming undone while you're working on one color. You want to make sure that that stitch marker is in place to hold your work, so that if the yarn gets caught, or if you're like me and you have a cat and it starts to play with the yarn, you don't want to run into trouble. All right, so we're at the last one here. So go into the middle, anchor it. You get your 5 double crochets. Then you need to do a single crochet just in the space there. Then pull that up, because we're not turning our work. We're then going to swap the stitch marker, the stitch holder, because we're going to be switching back to color A. So now we're going to start the 2 rows for color A. So again, we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then what you're going to do, because you've already used, you're going to go in to the space between and do your single crochet, the space between the shells. Six, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Single crochet in between the shell space. Another 6. Single crochet in between the 2 shells, and just work your way across. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Single crochet between the shells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then at the end, you're going to go. It's hard to see because there's a lot going on at the end here, because we've got our, but we're going to go in here and do our single crochet. We're going to turn our work, so I'm going to just swap the 2 colors here so they don't get tangled. Makes your life a lot easier. We're going to turn the work. Okay, so then you're going to chain 2. 1, 2. Then in here, you're going to slip stitch and chain 2 again. Now you're ready to do your shell stitches across to the end. So you're going to go into the middle, the 3rd double crochet in, so the middle. Make sure you've got that 6 chain piece in on your hook as well, so that when you yarn over and pull through, you're anchoring it. And you're going to put your 5 double crochets in that same space. and then immediately go into the next one. Make sure your chain is on the hook, yarn over, pull through to anchor, and do your 5 double crochets. There would be so many nice pretty color combinations to do this, and it's a very heavy when it's all done. The weight of it's quite heavy, which is nice on cold nights. There is no specified border for when you're done. You can be pretty much, I do put borders on mine, and I've done just for different ones. You can choose what you would like. If you decide you don't even want to put a border, that's okay too. But I often put just rows of single crochet around. And what I've done is I will do, say, 5 rows of single crochet in the color A, and then change over to color B and do another 5, and then fold it over and just slip stitch it so that color A lines up with the color A border, lines up with the color A side, color B border lines up with the color B side, just so it keeps the total reversibility showing. All right, so we're getting towards the end here. And if you ever have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I would be more than happy to answer them. All right, so we're getting towards the end here. And if you need any kind of clarification, I'm more than happy to give a hand as well. All right, so 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then at the end, you have to do your single crochet, and you're just going to throw that into the remaining part of the chain 6 down there. Boom. Swap out your stitch marker, and that's another color row done. But as you can see, you have to do the pass through of the chain 6, and then you do the shells. So it's always a forward and a back, and you can see how it starts to, one color peeks through the holes on one side, and then it starts to peek through on the other. So we'll do one more here. Chain 6, single crochet into the space between the shells, chain 6, in between the shells, a single crochet, the chain row goes much quicker, as you can imagine, because it's fairly quick and easy. Return our work. And again, I'm going to swap the yarn so the yarn doesn't get tangled. All right, so we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, slip stitch in between, chain 2 again, and we're ready to do our shells. So in the middle stitch, grab that chain 6 and make sure it's on the hook, yarn over, pull through to anchor, and do your double crochets. And keep going across, always making sure you pick that up, get it anchored. So as you can see, once you get going, you can get moving fairly quickly. It works up faster than you would think. And it's one of these patterns that looks more complicated than it actually is. So, and these are just the rows that you're going to repeat. The chain row, the shell row, alternating your colors until you reach the desired length of your pattern, of your blanket that you want to make. And then I'm going to show you how to finish off after. You always want to stop on a shell row, and I'll show you why here. So when we reach the end of this row, I'm going to show you how you would finish the blanket when you've reached your desired length. Okay? And it's fairly easy as well. All right, we've got our 5, then we're going to just get our hook in under there and single crochet. Now we're going to put our stitch marker for the time being, because if you were at the end of your, we finished on a shell stitch. I better put my hook in there before I pull that out. We finished on a shell stitch, so eventually we're going to tie that off and weave it in. But now you've done the width that you like, you have reached the end of the pattern for the length that you would want. You're going to finish off, you've got the blanket as long as you want it to be. You're going to chain 3, slip stitch. Let me just double check here. Nope. You're going to single crochet into there, chain 3 into where you would normally do your chain 1 or your single crochet, sorry, chain 3 in the middle stitch. You're going to single crochet again, chain 3, single crochet in between the shells, 3 chains, single crochet into the middle stitch, chain 3, single crochet into between the shells. So basically it's your chain row, but you're attaching it in the top piece of each shell from the row before. Oops. So chain 3, single crochet into the middle stitch, chain 3, single crochet in between the shells, chain 3, single crochet in that middle stitch, chain 3 in between, single crochet between the shells, chain 3, top stitch, middle stitch, sorry, single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet in the end there. So then you would cut your yarn, pull through to secure. You're going to cut your other yarn, take out your stitch marker, pull it through and secure, and then you would weave in all your ends. And so you would have the finishing is your final chain section. So that would be one side, and then your other. So the dark blue peeks through the loops, the light blue peeks through the loops, and that is your reversible shell stitch. And it works up super nice, and it's super easy to do. So that'll be it for this tutorial. Let me know if you have any questions or comments in the comment section. I'll be glad to answer them. And I will see you next time. Take care. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thank you.